Hey everyone, and welcome to the deep dive. We picked today's topic because a lot of you have been asking about
Oh,
it.
yeah.
Yeah, this new AI, DeepSeek-R1, out of China no less.
I've heard some buzz about that one.
Well, we're going to deep dive into it today, get into the nitty-gritty. We've got some excerpts from the original research paper, where they first unveiled it. And
The juicy technical stuff.
yeah, exactly. And we've also got a news article from Nature, kind of gives the bigger picture.
Nice. So we'll get both sides of the coin.
Exactly. And you know what really caught my eye? This AI is all about reasoning.
So, like, actual problem solving.
Yeah, like step-by-step logic, like a human would use. But here's the kicker. It's performing as well as OpenAI's O1 on some tasks.
No way. O1's been the gold standard for reasoning AIs.
I know, right? And get this, DeepSeek-R1 is totally open for researchers to study.
That's huge. It means we might actually get to see how this reasoning magic actually works. Okay, so let's dive into the research paper. They built DeepSeek-R1 using something called reinforcement learning. But they did it with this really cool twist, chain of thought prompting.
Oh yeah, I read about that. It's like, instead of just giving the AI a bunch of data, they actually prompt it to, think out loud, step by step.
So it's showing its work, basically.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that seems to be a key part of how it not only gets the right answer, but can actually explain its reasoning.
And there's this crazy moment in the paper where the AI seems to have an aha moment.
Wait, really?
Yeah, it's working on this math problem, and it literally says, wait. That's an aha moment I can flag here. Let's reevaluate this step by step.
Whoa. I mean, is it really having an epiphany? Or is it just a really clever algorithm?
It's mind-blowing either way. It makes you wonder about the nature of intelligence itself.
No kidding.
Okay, so while we're pondering the philosophical implications, let's check out what Nature has to say. They've got some hard data on how DeepSeek-R1 stacks up.
Okay, hit me with the benchmarks.
Well, one researcher called it wild and totally unexpected.
Uh-huh. Sounds promising.
And the numbers back it up. 97.3% on Math 500.
That's a tough set of math problems.
Yeah.
OpenAI created those, right?
Yeah, so it's beating them at their own game. And get this, it outperformed 96.3% of humans on code force.
Code forces, that's for serious coders.
I know, right? This AI is not messing around. And speaking of not messing around, let's talk about cost.
Ah, yes. The elephant in the room for AI research.
Right. Nature mentioned this researcher who did an experiment for like $10. That would cost over $300 with O1.
Wow, that's a game changer. It means more researchers can actually afford to experiment with these cutting-edge AIs.
Totally. Okay, so it's cheaper, it's crushing benchmarks, but
But how good is it really?
yeah.
Benchmarks don't tell the whole story.
You're right. It's hard to measure something as complex as reasoning.
That's where the open weight thing comes in. Researchers can actually study how DeepSeek-R1 thinks its chain of thought.
So we're not just treating it like a black box anymore.
Exactly. We can actually peek inside and see how it's arriving at its solutions. It's like having a window into its mind. Imagine what we can learn from that.
That's incredible. So for you, dear listener, this means powerful AI models aren't just for big companies like OpenAI anymore. We could be on the verge of a real power shift in the world of AI.
And the open nature of DeepSeek-R1 means the pace of AI research could accelerate like crazy. More people studying it, tweaking it, improving upon it.
Plus, it challenges the idea that bigger is always better in AI. DeepSeek's proving that sometimes smarter algorithms are the key.
Yeah, this isn't just about one impressive AI. It's a potential paradigm shift in how we think about AI development. It's innovation coming from unexpected places, challenging the status quo, expanding what AI can achieve.
I'm loving this deep dive already. But this DeepSeek-R1, it came out of nowhere. Most people hadn't even heard of this company before.
True. And Nature had some interesting background on DeepSeek. They spun out of a hedge fund, of all things. And just last month, they released their first big AI, a chatbot called V3.
V3, huh? What was that like?
Pretty impressive, actually. It outperformed some major AI rivals, even though DeepSeek's budget was way smaller. The article said they spent about $6 million on hardware for V3, compared to something like $60 million for Meta's Llama model.
Hold on, so they're doing more with less.
Yep, and they use that same reinforcement learning for both V3 and R1. Seems to be working pretty well for them.
So we've got this super efficient AI coming out of China, performing as good as, if not better than, some of the top AIs from the US. What are the experts saying about all this?
Well, Nature quotes this tech expert who says DeepSeek's success shows that the U.S. lead in AI has narrowed, like a lot. He even suggested the U.S. and China should be collaborating on AI development instead of this whole tech arms race thing.
Interesting. We've talked benchmarks, cost, geopolitics even, but let's get into the science of how DeepSeek-R1 actually reasons. We keep mentioning this chain of thought approach, but how does that work?
All right, let's break it down. Traditional large language models, LLMs, learn by being fed tons of text. They break it down into little pieces, tokens, and look for patterns.
So they're basically finding patterns in language to predict what words should come next. That's how they can write stuff, translate languages, all that.
Exactly. But the problem is, these LLMs can make stuff up. And they're not so good at reasoning through complex problems that need logic, step-by-step thinking.
So that's where chain of thought comes in.
Right. Like the name suggests, it encourages the LLM to generate a step-by-step thought process. Instead of jumping to a conclusion, it has to show its work, explain its reasoning.
And DeepSeek combined that with their reinforcement learning. That's how R1 not only gets the right answer, but can also explain how it got there.
And that's why the open weight thing is so exciting. Researchers can actually look at the AI's thought process. That kind of transparency is really rare in commercial AI, and it could lead to some huge breakthroughs in how we understand these models.
Nature had this quote from a computer scientist who said, "The openness of DeepSeek R1 allows better interpretability of the model's reasoning processes."
It's like we can finally see the engine running. We might actually start to understand how these AI models are thinking.
Okay, DeepSeek R1's impressive on benchmarks, cheaper to run, open for research, and it could help us understand AI reasoning better. But does it have any weaknesses? Nothing's perfect, right?
Well, no technology is perfect, you're right. The research paper itself mentions a few limitations. It's mainly optimized for Chinese and English, so other languages might be tricky.
Makes sense.
And it's still not as good as DeepSeek's own V3 model when it comes to things like function calling and multi-turn conversations.
So there's room for improvement.
Definitely. They also found R1's pretty sensitive to how you phrase the questions. They recommend a simple, direct style for problem solving.
So no need to butter it up, just get straight to the point.
Exactly.
Anything else? Any other areas needing work?
Oh, one more thing. It hasn't been as thoroughly tested on software engineering tasks. Those take a lot longer to evaluate.
Still working on that, huh?
Yeah, they plan to improve that in future versions, make the evaluation process more efficient.
So it sounds like DeepSeek R1 is a very promising development, but still a work in progress.
Absolutely. But it's already shaking things up in the AI world. It's raising questions about who's going to lead AI development in the future, whether bigger is always better. And maybe most importantly, giving us a glimpse into how these algorithms are reasoning their way to solutions.
This is all so fascinating, but before we go any further down this rabbit hole, let's take a quick pause.
We're back, and I'm still thinking about that aha moment from the DeepSeek paper.
I know, right? It's kind of spooky. Like, are these AIs becoming self-aware or what?
It definitely makes you wonder. If an AI can recognize it's having an aha moment, does that mean it really understands the concepts it's working with?
Like, on a deeper level.
Yeah. And is it aware of itself as, a thinking entity? These are questions philosophers have been debating for centuries, and now AI is bringing them back in a whole new way.
It's a lot to wrap your head around, for sure. But even if we set aside the whole consciousness thing for now, the fact that this advanced AI came from, well, a pretty small company in China, that's a big deal too.
Absolutely. It challenges this whole idea that only huge corporations, the ones with tons of money, can create real AI breakthroughs.
So it's not just about who has the biggest computers in the deepest pockets anymore.
Exactly. It's about ingenuity, finding smart solutions to tough problems. And that's what makes DeepSeek's story so interesting.
And then there's this whole open weight approach they're taking with DeepSeek R1. That seems like a potential game changer, not just for DeepSeek, but for everyone working on AI.
Imagine if all the latest AI advancements were available for anyone to study and build on. It'd be like,
The open source movement, but for AI.
Exactly. And think about how much open source software has changed the tech world. It's led to crazy collaboration, speeding up innovation like we've never seen before.
So open weight AI could do the same thing, like a global community of AI researchers all sharing knowledge and pushing the limits of what's possible.
Exactly. So we've got this crazy powerful AI developed in a way that kind of breaks the mold, and they're sharing it openly with the world. What does this mean for the future of AI?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
It's hard to say for sure, but I think we're at the start of a major shift. The old rules, they don't apply anymore. Innovation can come from anywhere, and the most important thing might not be raw power, but how clever the algorithms are and whether people are willing to work together, share what they know.
So A new era of AI is beginning.
I think so, yeah. And DeepSeek-R1 is just the tip of the iceberg.
Well, I don't know about you, but I'm super excited to see where this all goes. But let's bring it back to our listener for a sec. We've talked benchmarks, technical stuff, the philosophy of AI even.
Yeah.
What does all this mean for them?
I think the big takeaway is that the world of AI is changing fast. DeepSeek-R1 is a perfect example of that. It's a reminder that we need to be ready for the unexpected, be open to new ideas, and not get stuck on our old assumptions about what's possible.
And who knows, maybe the next big AI breakthrough will come from a university lab or a small startup or even someone working in their garage.
The possibilities really are endless.
That's what makes it so exciting. The future of AI is wide open.
Absolutely.
It's wild, right? Like just a couple of years ago, this wouldn't have even been on our radar. A small company like DeepSeek taking on the giants, you know?
I know. It really shows you how fast things are changing in the AI world. And now with this open weight thing, who knows what's next? We could see AI breakthroughs coming from, well, anywhere, really.
Yeah, and it's not just about like the tech itself, it's what it means for us, you know, for everyone.
Right, exactly. Like, what are the ethical implications? Are there risks? How do we make sure AI is used for good? We need to be talking about all of this right now.
Definitely. AI is powerful, and like anything powerful, it could be misused. We got to make sure it benefits humanity, not the other way around.
I'm optimistic, though. I think if we encourage open research and collaboration and really think about the ethical side of things, we can make AI work for everyone.
So as we wrap up our deep dive on DeepSeek-R1, we hope you've gotten a sense of not just this one AI, but the bigger picture. It's a story about innovation and challenging the status quo, really pushing the limits of what we thought was possible.
And the story's not over yet, is it? Who knows what incredible discoveries are just around the corner?
That's what makes it so exciting. The future of AI is wide open, and we can't wait to see what happens next.
Thanks for joining us on the Deep Dive, everyone. We'll catch you next time.